we go. How's it going?
Um, my little cubby here with all my book covers.
I like it. It looks very nice. How are you today?
I'm excited. I was hoping I'd be okay because I was sick this weekend and I lost my voice. I had to cancel my Audible. I'm recording Audible books and I'm supposed to go in this afternoon. I'm like, no.
No, you sound great. Everything's good. Sometimes the raspy works for certain things, right?
Yeah, it's sexy.
There you go. Right. See? It has its place for sure. Where are you coming out of?
I live just east of Toronto.
Oh, yeah. I need to get up there. I always hear so many good things about Toronto.
It's okay. I tell people if you want to visit Canada, though, the East Coast or the West Coast are so much prettier.
Okay. All
We
right.
just look like New York. That's the reason a lot of film companies use Toronto as New York,
Yeah, that's true. I've heard that quite a bit. But
right?
I love the Canadian mindset. I love socialized health. I love the fact that artists get grants all the time. The government does hold the arts in high esteem. And anytime a calamity happens in America, the Canadians are the first ones to pass legislation to restrict, you know, big guns and automatic weapons that just don't need to be in civilian hands. So
Yeah, I
I,
don't understand it anyway. But I love all my American friends. Like all my best buddies, all my best sweeping buddies are American.
yeah, cool. Cool. Yeah,
I do so much. I was there yesterday. That was like I wasn't feeling well, and I'm like, but I have to go.
yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
mailed out prizes. I helped out a sweeping friend who's had a really rough year.
yeah.
Like her husband passed away several months ago and she wanted something for her daughter that you could only get in Canada. I'm like, I got you.
There you go.
So I
Very
took
cool.
advantage of it. So I'm only 2.5 hours from the border.
Okay, cool. Very good.
Well, actually, it depends on which border. 5 hours one way, 2.5 one way, 2.5 or three the other way. I can go in three different spots.
Well, I'm in Kansas City. I'm landlocked, so I'm right in the middle of
Oh,
the
you're
map.
right in the middle. I don't think have I been to I don't think I've been to Kansas City. I drove. I love America. That's the one thing you guys do so well is your roads,
Yeah.
like this highway system, and then the rest stops and stuff. We don't have that. And I drove to Texas last year by myself. Everyone's like, "You drove to Texas?" I'm like, "Yeah, you get in your car
Yeah.
and you go. It's not really hard.
Right. Yeah, you just do. You
You
just
listen to
drive.
Audible books and you drive.
Yeah,
That's what you do."
that's it. That's the way it is. It's so spacious. Like when I talk to Europeans, everything's so compact and next to each
Oh my
other.
God, they don't understand.
Yeah.
I did business in Belgium once,
Mhm.
and we drove an hour this way and we saw clients, and then they took me the other way and we drove an hour and we saw clients, and we're back at the pub after the whole day, and they're like, "Wow, I can't believe we drove across the whole country." I'm
Yeah.
like, "What?" I
Right.
said, "You can't even get to the city
Yeah.
from my house in the same amount of time that you went across your whole country."
Yeah. That's wild. That's very wild. Well, it's great to meet you. And I want to begin our conversation with what we've lived through for the last 3.5 years, which has been this pandemic. How did you get through it and how has it changed you?
Well, what was interesting was the timing of what I was doing in my business, and um and being kind of stuck at home, because where I live, we had some of the longest lockdowns in the world, close to China, and then Australia surpassed us.
Yeah.
But we were like one of the top areas. And it was really hard for me because I'm a social butterfly, and I work for myself, but I get out, I go to the gym, I meet friends for coffee, and then just being lit. And I don't like the winter. And so this happened when it was cold.
Yeah.
So then I just stayed in and ate
Yeah.
because I stress baked.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But the timing was interesting because I had just bought the rights to Helene Hadsel's work. So she had asked me to do this in 2008, and I did nothing with it because my life had just taken a dot. Like everything happened to me after that. We went bankrupt. I got a divorce. I had some health, like everything that could have happened did.
Wow.
Nearly lost my business. Thankfully, I didn't. But everything that happened could have, and it took me a long time to kind of come back out of that. And right when I got out of that, we were all locked down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah.
And then so what happened was is because I was locked in, I published 2 books. I republished 2 books. I published The Name It and Claim It Game, and then her second book, which was In Contact with Other Realms. And so, because I had the time to do it, because I literally had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I did with my time. And
Right on.
then I took a break. But the one thing that did get hindered in that, because I just didn't want to deal with it, is that I also write the sweepstakes books, and I was writing prizes everywhere. And once the lockdown happens, all the sweepstakes disappeared or
Yeah.
they were changed. And then I was like, I felt so miserable that I didn't want to enter. And then I just shelved that book for a while. And now it's to the point where I'm like, that's it. I'm finishing this book that has been sitting there it's to the point where I have to start from scratch again because stuff is so out of date. Like the sweepstakes are internet based. So now I have to recheck all my resources
Yep.
to make sure, are they still in business? Did they like close during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Is everything still up to date? I'm removing some sections. Like I had a whole section on how to win on Twitter. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to do it on X because it's kind of like gone off the rails. A lot of companies have moved all their promotions to Instagram. So that's going to be more robust, like, so I'm going to be adjusting the whole thing. And I've said it will be out by December 31st.
Excellent. Well, that's the
Cool.
and you have such an interesting life and all of these things that are a part of it. So I want to get to the essence of it. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day, and one of the kids looks up and says, "What do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I teach people how to have fun.
There you go. So when you were in the third grade, what did you dream about becoming when you grew up?
Well, what's funny is I don't remember really picking anything. I've had that question asked to me before, and I remember thinking I wanted to dance. My mom, my poor mother, she put me in ballet when I was little because it's so elegant, and all my little friends were taking it, and I have zero grace. I stomp around like I got kicked out of ballet. And then she put me in tap dancing, and that was more suited to me because it was noisy and like
Yeah,
all out there.
absolutely.
And I loved it. I took it until we moved. I was about 14, and then I couldn't find a school, like a dance school that suited me. I didn't kind of, find my space. So then I just let that go. But I thought maybe I'd be a dancer. But what I do now, when I was in college, never say never. I'm going to tell your audience that. Never say never.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I remember getting a paperback and it had a C on it. And I thought, that's okay. I'll never be a writer. It doesn't matter. It was for my English credit. And 7 books later, and more, like I've got a line of like 10 more coming because I bought the rights to more people's work. Yeah, I'm a writer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Be careful what you wish for. And I'm fascinated by what you do because I've heard stories about how people make livings off winning sweepstakes, and it's something that you can actually calculate.
Well,
No?
I wouldn't say make your living off of it. I would say it enhances your life.
Right.
So where you can benefit from entering, first of all, it's just freaking fun.
Yeah.
Like who doesn't like winning?
Yeah.
I did an unboxing this morning. I've been so busy. Normally I publish a book a year, and this year I decided to take this ambitious challenge. It's like going from sitting on the couch to running a triathlon.
Yeah.
I decided to publish a book a month for 5 months when I normally do one a year. So I have not been really entering much, but I did an unboxing today because I won an entire box of free chips. So I
Nice.
said to my daughter knows this. What's better than chips? Free chips. Like, what's better than pizza? Free pizza. What's
That's
better, right? Like,
Yes.
so even the little things that show up, it's just fun.
Oh, yeah.
They came in a big box. You did the official opening. It's like they're all there. It's fun to have that just show up at your house.
Yeah.
And so there's 3 kinds of prizes that people like to win. Ones that replace their current budget. So for example, you win a gift card to a local grocery store,
Yeah.
you win gas cards. I mean, these are things that you're buying anyway. Now your budget's just eased a bit because you've got this extra. Then there's things that maybe you'd like, but were never really in your budget, like a brand new fridge instead of a used one, or a brand new car instead of a used one, or something like a trip. You
Yeah.
you have a small vacation budget, but now your vacations, exponential. I always say trips aren't free because usually you have to get yourself to the airport.
Yeah.
Tips aren't included. They may or may not pay for your food.
Yeah.
It depends on the sweepstakes. So I tell people to budget for that. Like when I won a trip, I won a trip for 4. I won a gift card to booking.com, and I took my sister and her husband and George, my boyfriend. We all went to Mexico. So we had to get ourselves from the airport to the hotel.
Yeah.
We had to tip.
Yeah.
We bought our own souvenirs, like those things aren't included, but heck, hello, the 4 of us were in Mexico for free, right?
Yeah.
We paid for the excursion. So those things, you can really take your small travel budget and blow it up.
Yeah.
And then concert ticket. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many concerts I've gone to. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love it. But we get there, you want to drink, you have, parking, so if you had little ones, when my daughter was little, we had to hire a babysitter. So you have to kind of take those things into account, but it really makes date night fun when the concert tickets are free.
Uh-huh. It certainly does. I've had so much fun doing it. I actually am a closet sweepstakes person. I get crazy about it. I actually was applying for a job years ago at the Kansas City Star. I was a journalist, which I still am. And I thought they were calling me back about a job to come in for an interview, and I won Pearl Jam tickets. I got like 8th row. It was wonderful. And then the coolest thing I ever won, it's funny you said Twitter. I applied to some random thing because that's what I do. I do it all the time. And I won a dude sweater, the Big Lebowski sweater. There was a Jeff Bridges was releasing an album. I was going to get his vinyl, and I got a dude sweater. They didn't send me the vinyl, and I never heard anything back, but I was like, do I want to lick a gift horse in the mouth? Because that Pendleton sweater, I still have it. It's wonderful.
Oh, sometimes I tell people to chase prizes because I've had prizes go missing, or people say, and I always say poop rolls downhill.
Mm-hmm.
So start climbing the chain of command, wherever it is, whether it's the sponsor or the agency. Like one time I had a prize go missing.
Yeah.
And I used to be a contest manager at an ad agency. So I know how it works on both sides. So I started messaging the agency. I found every account manager I could find on LinkedIn, and I messaged all of them. And I'm like, who's the account manager for Gatorade?
Yeah.
And I was like, all of a sudden, I get a call from the post office. I think they thought I was making a false claim that a package didn't arrive. And I let the poor man know what I thought. And the next day, this package that looked like it had been to Timbuktu and back showed up on our doorstep. Thankfully, the prize inside was intact, but yeah, they clearly had lost it.
Wow.
And but yeah, I chased it because I thought, no, I'm not letting this go. It was a $600 pack. I had a year's supply of Gatorade. Wow. I had a Beats headset. There was a backpack. There was it was just crammed full of stuff. I'm like, no, we are not letting that prize go.
Exactly. So what's been the greatest gift that you've ever gotten? Greatest giveaway?
Okay, so I have 3 answers for this one. There's the most expensive, there's the most memorable, and there's the priceless one. Okay. So the most expensive was we won a trip for 4 to the Winter Olympics when they were in Vancouver. And I calculated it was probably worth about $20,000. Wow. Because everything was so jacked up in price. Like airfare that would, if I flew to Vancouver today, it'd probably be like $700 or $800. It was probably like 4 times that. Yeah. Times 4, during the Olympics, so everything was elevated, hotel rooms that are usually like, I don't know, $300 or like $1,200. Yeah. So everything was elevated. That was really memorable. And we got to see the men's speed skating, and Canada came in silver, and the whole place was going bananas. I mean, that was really cool. Yeah. Watching your country win at the Olympics. I mean, that was very memorable.
Yeah.
Then my favorite was when we got to go to the Harry Potter set. This was
Wow.
before. Now, this is the other thing the pandemic has changed. A lot of the prizes that used to be available have now kind of gone by the wayside because um they don't want to be doing prizes like this anymore.
Yeah.
So we got to go to the set of Harry Potter. It was run in 150 people from 30 countries around the world went to a party on the set. And we sat at the benches the kids sat at. They served us dinner using like the same plates and cutlery from the movie.
Wow.
It was so cool to be sitting there. And then you look up and there's no enchanted ceiling. It's all like lights and booms and wires and things. And like, there's no candles. This is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
disappointing. But that was very cool.
Yeah.
Sitting in Dumbledore's chair.
Yeah.
My daughter, they used to have this thing on Facebook, when Facebook was popular, that, I've been to Hogwarts. My daughter's like, yeah, I've really been to
Yeah.
Hogwarts. I'm like, no, you haven't. She's like, yeah, I actually have been to Hogwarts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then my other favorite is meeting celebrities. So meeting Sting and meeting Michael Bublé were my two favorites.
Oh, wow.
But again, meet and greets have kind of,
Yeah.
they, people are leery to do meet and greets anymore, or if they do, they stand far away. There's no pictures. Like Sting had his arm around me.
Yeah.
He smells really good. Just saying.
Yeah.
I got a picture cheek to cheek with Michael. I don't think he would do that again.
Yeah.
So that sadly has changed because those kind of prizes were really fun.
Yeah.
But there's still lots of adventures to be had.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. So who's been a hero for you in your life, an inspiration?
Well, actually, I have two. Actually, Helene Hadsel was one of them. The two people that have changed my life the most were Helene Hadsel and Robert Ohado, and I'll tell you each about them. So Helene was famous because she won every contest she ever entered. Now, I have discovered that it's really she won every prize she ever desired because she
Right.
would enter more contests than she. So there's a story in one of her books where she wanted a fry pan. Her husband ended up buying one for Christmas and she won 3 in the new year. But I bet you she probably entered way more than the 3
Yeah.
to win the 3. So it's not every contest, it's every prize. And she asked me to maintain her legacy because I think near the end of her life, she realized that her kids weren't going to do it. And I have a lot of similarities to her. Like I wrote sweepstakes books, I entered. I also understood her philosophy on life. You have to think like a winner before you are.
Yeah.
And you have to feel lucky before you are. And so she knew that I could maintain that legacy. And so that has really changed my life. And then Robert Ohado wrote a book called Transforming Fate into Destiny. And that was a real game changer for me. And he had a podcast, and I found him when I was like on that downturn in my life.
Yeah.
And so he really helped me kind of come out of it with his book. And he had a podcast a long time ago, and now he's going to relaunch one, and he's got a lot of videos, and I just really resonate. That's the one thing I tell people: find a teacher you resonate with. Because I have friends that like, I don't like his work. I'm like, okay, so don't listen to him. Like,
Yeah. Right.
It's okay to like somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those are the two authors. They happen to both be authors.
Yeah.
It really had massive changes, helped me have massive changes in my life.
So you met Sting and Michael Bublé, but if there was anybody on the planet right now, anybody else that you would just love to meet, who would it be?
Okay. He's been on my bucket list since I was 16, Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, it can happen.
I loved Remington Steele came out when I was 16, and I have watched all his movies. He's a fantastic actor, and he has his own production company and things. And he's actually a good comedic actor too.
Yeah.
Like, who knew?
Yep. Right.
And yeah, bucket list.
Okay. So every day you wake up, you're obviously very highly driven, have a lot of energy. What is your motivation? What gets you out of bed? What gets you to do what you do and to help people and to apply for all these different sweepstakes? What is it that motivates you?
I feel like it's kind of like what I just have to do. I know this is going to sound weird. So when I started writing my first book, you can't win if you don't enter, because you can't.
Right.
It wasn't a bestseller. it was okay.
Yeah.
And so then I started writing my next book. And my mom said, "Why your first book didn't do great? Like, why are you?" And I'm like, "I don't know how to explain it. I just have to write the book.
Yeah.
Like, I just have to." It's kind of like an internal drive that I have to do. Like, it's something I have to do. There's a lot of people like this for whatever they're doing, you know? Like, why do you go to the top of a mountain and ski all the way down? Well, it's something that they just love it. They
Yeah.
love the thing and they just have to do it or conquer the mountain. Why did Edmund Hillary climbed to the top of Mount Everest? Because he just had to. He's
Yeah.
like, I see that. I'm going there.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. And I love helping people. I am so happy when people message me and say, "Oh my gosh, I started entering sweepstakes and I won this thing and I'm so excited. My first prize is arriving." And I'm like, "Yay." It's so exciting when other people win. And there's communities of us. Not a lot of people know this. Or realize there's a community of sweepstakers, but there's clubs which have been around for decades. And then annually, there's a convention. So this year, like last year, it was in New Hampshire. This year, it was in Scottsdale, Arizona. Next year, it's in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I've already got my ticket. I'm so excited. And I basically go and there's like 1,000 people just like me in one room.
Wow. That's cool. I'm not surprised. I mean, you look at like Chuck Palahniuk novels and how many self-help groups you never knew existed that are out there. There's all kinds of pockets of people that want to have that community and commune together. I would think, especially after the pandemic, we miss people so much that it would probably have to just be a little bit more robust now.
Oh, I loved it because I had a huge gap in between conventions because I got sidetracked with my business and then I moved and like there was something every year for a while. And then of course we had the pandemic and I couldn't go. And so my first year in 7 years, so I had gone in 2016 and then I didn't go back till 2020. I don't know what year it is, 2022.
Yeah, right.
And boy, oh boy, it was so fun seeing
Yeah.
people that I have known for years. And it was like ridiculous amounts of hugging and just catching up with people. And then we have great speakers. And then of course we have prizes.
Of
And
course.
I donate prizes too. And it's just fun.
That's great. So of all of the books that you've written, what's been the best fan letter you ever got back? One that always puts a smile on your face.
Oh, I've only gotten some letters. Most things aren't mailed to me. Most are emails.
Yeah.
But I've made friends with Tom Cavalli. He now owns iwincontest.com.
Yeah.
He started out by reading my first book and went, "Oh, I can do that." And he was also in marketing and HR. And so he could understand that whole connection with people and things. And so he started entering sweepstakes. And because of where he lives, because there's way more sweepstakes in the United States than there is in Canada. So he's
Okay.
won way more than me.
Yeah.
And now he just runs his newsletter full time.
Wow.
And so that's what he does. He just does. So now he can enter like, but he only enters himself like an hour or so a day. People think you got to do it all day. No, you don't. And he wins big. There's secrets to it, like having an email address just for entering and going into a sweepstakes site and being organized and consistent. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to go to the gym one day and come out a bodybuilder. It's
Sure.
consistency over time gets results. It's the same thing. But yeah, I remember him messaging me and, starting to win and things like that. And then so over time we became friends. And actually this week I just spent an hour talking to him on the phone about different things.
That's cool. So of all the things that you've done and accomplished in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Oh, my daughter.
Nice.
I just let her, what I'm really proud of is I let her be herself. And I knew right from an early age, she was an artist and she could hold a pen properly at 10 months. She wasn't even crawling properly, but she could hold a pen properly.
Wow.
And I thought, this kid is going to be an artist. And sure enough, it was all art. And then I love all the, mystical arts. So I had a friend who was an astrologer and she looked at my daughter's chart one day and said, do you like Art Lane? And she said, yeah, why? And she goes, well, you have 5 planets in your 5th house of creativity. And I'm like, yeah, that would be her.
Yeah.
And now she's in her 4th year at one of Canada's biggest art schools. So it's the Ontario College of Art and Design University on her 4th year illustration. So I'm very proud of her, very biased mom here.
Sure. That's excellent. So everyone out there has a perception of you. You have this persona that everybody sees, family, friends, clients, colleagues, readers, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never been asked that question before. I've always thought of myself as, you know what? I think of myself as a helper. Just like Fred Rogers always said, when something happens, go look for the helpers.
Yeah.
I do it not in, a disastrous kind of way, like where, I run out and do that kind of helping. I help people more in their everyday lives to find the gold.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Robert Frost poem, and it has that line in it about staying gold?
Yeah.
I try and do that myself. And I want people to see the gold in life, even when everything else is around them is kind of falling apart. There is always gold.
Yeah.
And so I do it that way. So that's how I see myself. I see myself as a helper, but not in a traditional sense.
So if you could witness one event in human history that happened with your own eyes, what would you love to have been out to see?
Oh my God, all of history. Do you know how many things, like the last stone on one of the pyramids, or,
Yeah.
The earth cracking apart and making all the continents. I don't know. There's like a gazillion things that would be really cool.
That's the answer right there. So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into a 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, I know this one off by heart because I say it to myself all the time. Listen to your inner voice.
Yeah.
Listen to your inner voice, no matter how illogical it seems. Because how many times have you had a little inkling and you think, well, that's crazy. Why would I think that? And then you keep going down your path because it said go over there. And you're like, I'm going here. And then you get down there and you're like, oh, I really should have gone down there. That was right.
Yeah.
We've all had it.
Yeah. So
even if your inner voice seems illogical, listen to it. It is right.
I totally agree. So let me ask you this. For anyone out there that's a skeptic of getting into sweepstakes and entering to get prizes, if you had one piece of advice for anybody that's a skeptic, what would it be to make them think differently about it?
Well, you have to think that you're going to win before you do. Because if you don't think you're going to win, you won't. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
And so you have to think you're going to win. I enter a lot of sweepstakes, and I don't think, I know I'm not going to win every one, but I think I'm going to win every one.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I'm entering, I'm like, ooh, I wonder if this is the one I'm going to win. This is a really cool prize. That would be fun. And then I enter the next one. Ooh, I wonder if they're going to call me or they're going to email me. This would be fun if that showed up on my door. And I do that for every one. And then something shows up. And I love that.
Wonderful. So, Carolyn, if anyone out there wants to get your books, learn more about you, anything about your world, where's the best place to go?
I have a brand new site. So if you want to learn about my books, it's wordsforwinning.com. And if you want to learn step-by-step how to win sweepstakes, it's contestqueen.com.
Excellent. This is wonderful. Carolyn, thank you so much. You're a delight. Thank you for your energy, your story, and your time, and best of luck with everything.
Oh, thank you so much. I just love sharing how to win in life and sweepstakes with people. It's my favorite thing to do.
It's wonderful. You're wonderful at it, and you got great stories. My wife is a diehard Harry Potter fan, so when I tell her your story, she's going to freak out.
Well, yeah, you got to take her to Universal. A couple of years ago, we won a trip to Universal Studios for 4, and they have that whole Harry Potter area, and it is very cool.
Yeah, it's on the list for sure. We're going to have to get out that way.
Yes, so you must. It's a must.
Absolutely. Well, cool. Well, hey, Carolyn, thank you again and best of luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.